I talked to him.
No, we can do it. Trying to get
Meeting. We're glad to be down here. Look like we need to, next we'd have it in the Mississippi Coast Coliseum, but we ain't got enough room in here. But everybody's welcome. We're glad you're here. We ought to have a good meeting, and we'll get through it. Before we get started, I'd like to ask Jason Thompson, would you open us up with a prayer, please?
Father God, Father, we thank you for this day. Father God, we thank you for the blessings that you've given us with follow me actually right now to list our commissioners and executive staff as we continue to have discussions about how we better manage the natural resources here in our state. We thank you, Father. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jason. Need to approve the minutes. I think the lawyer said we need to do them two separate.
So moved.
You want September the 13th?
September 13th.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. How about September the 27th? That
Motion.
was on the teleconference.
I'll
Make a motion.
Couplewood, by the way, we got one of our members is in Cleveland, Mississippi, and he couldn't make it here, but we got him hooked up. Couplewood made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, what about today's agenda, Mr. Posey?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I think has been noted in your on your agenda is number 4, under law enforcement has been marked out, he will not be attending today. Other than that, I think the minutes, will be adopted as they stand.
All right, is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Motion been made and second. Motion been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next part of our program is public comment, and we've got several people today that want to comment, and if everybody takes the full 5 minutes, we'll be in till dark. So let's, I don't know if all of you got to say the same thing. You want one person to speak for you. I will listen to all 4 of you that want to speak. And I cannot pronounce the river, but we'll talk about I can pronounce the Biloxi River, but I know, I've been trying since I was a baby boy, trying to pronounce that river, and I still can't do it. I sure can't spell it. I can't spell it or pronounce it. So let's just try to, for instance, 3 to 5 minutes for each one. And first one is Mr. Lamy, Harry Lamy. Did I play that right? Yes, sir. Come on. We need to talk into this microphone because it's this program is being televised and streamed all over the state. You'll be a star when you get on there. That's right. Go ahead, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, I appreciate y'all letting me speak. I'm glad to be here. Glad you had this meeting. Glad you're seeing some good weather. So let's get started.
Yes, sir.
I live on the Chute-Buff River. At 73 years old, I have an extensive history on the Chute-Buff River and the Biloxi River. So just to get on with this program real quick, I'm not a biologist, I'm just a fisherman. I fished these rivers all my life. So I've got over 60 years of history with these 2 rivers. We have some problem areas that I want to discuss today. I don't want to bring that to your attention. I fished these rivers when I considered when they were the best as a fishery is concerned. And I continue fishing them today, and they're the worst as a fishery than I've ever seen them in. These rivers are in bad shape. I do not consider these rivers a healthy fishery. These are coastal rivers, so we do have some saltwater migration, which makes them unique. The water becomes brackish down around the lower parts of the river. That actually helps with the diversities of these rivers with the saltwater and freshwater fish mixing. That's a good thing. But over the years, I have seen the vegetation in both of these rivers disappear. Something's not right there. Okay? The next thing I have noticed is when we have a storm, a hurricane, these rivers get cleaned out by contractors. They're paid by the ton to pick up all of the debris along the river's edge. That is wrong. Unless debris is out there and causing a navigational hazard, it should be left on the river's edge. our structure is being taken out. I've been working on this project for 6 years. Talked to different people, and they said, well, we're not paying any contractor to do this. I've yet to find out who's writing the check. But the contractor's not doing that for free of charge. Somebody's paying them. But that needs to stop. They're cleaning out the rivers, they're like bathtubs. There's nothing along the edges. Okay? We've had storms, we're gonna have storms. It's just a way of life on the Mississippi coast. What they're cleaning out is the future structures that we need now, real bad, in these rivers. These two rivers didn't get in this shape overnight. They're not gonna be fixed overnight. This is my opinion, so you can take it and weigh it with a grain of salt, but this is my opinion. We should be doing some water quality samples. I know of no industrial sites on these rivers. I do not think we have a problem with the water, but we don't know because we don't test them. They should be tested. If there's a problem, we can fix it. If there's a problem and we don't know about it, we can't fix anything. Okay, so water sampling should be. Next thing that I consider a real problem on these rivers, and I'm just going to use this as an example. At present, the daily limit on bluegill is 100 bluegill per day per fisherman. This quote is totally insane. These rivers cannot sustain that. No way. These are not big rivers. Okay? Bluegill is one of the first fish of the food chain. And in my opinion, what we need to do, there should be a slot limit put on a bluegill on these two rivers. Any bluegill caught less than 4 inches should be returned to the water. Any bluegill caught, say 7 inches and longer, should be returned to the water. What's in the middle, you take home, eat them, whatever you want to do.
With that, your time is wrong. Go ahead and get through it if you
All
can.
right, but your 4 inch and less bluegill will be for your game fish to eat. All right? Your bluegill 7 inches and longer is your breeding stock. That's the one that's gonna bed and spawn to replenish and start your food chain and get our populations up. Say I'm out of town?
Yes, sir, you're out of time.
Okay.
But we appreciate what you're saying now, and everybody's taking it in. We're
Well,
not,
that's no problem.
but we got,
I do want
Yes,
to hand this
yes,
out.
sir.
This is just, y'all heard part of what I was gonna say. Take that, put it in your bathroom, you got something to read.
And I think,
Thanks,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman, I think Jerry wants to meet with them afterwards, don't you, Jerry?
Jerry's head of fisheries. He knows what he's doing.
But you guys are the ones that can make the decision, make things happen. All the thing we can do is suggest and ask for help. And that's what we're doing.
Well, I appreciate
Thank
you
you,
being there.
thank you.
All right, what about Mr. Larry Strom? Is he next? Did I get your name right?
Yes, Larry Strong.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to talk about the fish assessment. I can't find anywhere where anything has been done on the Pascagoula the Pascagoula has been done in the past. I see nothing that says that, anything's been done on the Biloxi or Utica Bluff to check the size or what fish are available. So I just wanna recommend that something be done. If you don't have the manpower, our fly fishing club, we would gladly volunteer to take people out there to do stuff, you know, like that.
He's, we got the main man down here, the director of our fisheries. He's gonna make a space, he'd be glad to talk to y'all after the
Okay,
meeting.
all right. I'm
Okay.
short and sweet.
Thank you.
All right.
Gene Dufresne. All right.
Hello, my name's Gene Dufresne, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for, listening to, what we want. Mr. Harry kind of mentioned a lot of it, what we're gonna talk about. We submitted some of these things to Miss Sharon, so y'all should have had this kind of a heads up. I'm not gonna burn up a lot of your time. But some of the things that we had listed, like with the lack of the structure right there, some of the things I was just curious about, are there contracts for it? If there are, where can we find it? Not just wanting to turn this into a gripe session or something. I do have some solutions, that, my opinion on things, you guys are professionals, on the biologist stuff. So, all this is on there, and I've also wanted to touch base on the spawning. It's part of the habitat that was taken from, storm debris removal, things, whatever the case may be. Odors coming through, weight going against, and if there's no vegetation or nothing there, it's gonna cause erosion, and, it's gonna muddy up the river, water quality, and everything goes down. Some of the things that I listed, is identify some of these places that we wanna do some of these, I guess create vegetation areas, and, working with the law enforcement side of it, being, law enforcement officer myself, retired. I know that, if we get something working with the state, try to rebuild these areas right there, stop erosion, create habitat, a lot of these things will fix themselves. But like I said, I'm not gonna bore you with a lot, but these are some of the things I submitted. Y'all should have a copy of that in there. And, there's just some solutions, to it, Our club as well, Fly Fishing Club, as Harry said, we've been after this for many years, trying to, get some work done on it. October being the fiscal year, a lot of things are coming up open. I was watching the news recently, some of the funds, there were grants that were put out for $7.4 million over in Hancock County. I know it was for putting barges up and things like that, but there's MESA grants, I believe it is. There's a lot of money out there. It's just, me being, who I am, I don't have access, to reach out and get that like a lot of you have. And we're just seeking a little bit of help, and we're willing to work with anybody and everybody we can to try to improve the generations, coming up. My children, your grandchildren, everybody's grandchildren. But I just ask y'all take a look at some of this, and I'll get with, I believe there's a gentleman
Mr.
y'all pointed
Brown,
back
yeah.
there. I'd like to sit and talk with him later, but yield the remainder of my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Clay Gilroy? Welcome, sir.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say good afternoon to all of you, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to give some of my opinions out. Some of the things Harry talked about before, size limits, critter limits. Of course, that 7-inch limit to return, that's kind of hard one for me because I like to keep a good sized brim myself. But some of the things I saw from fishing the Utica Bluff in Biloxi, I was out there about a week and a half ago, and this big boat was out there. I don't know if it's a dredge or he was just a barge doing some work in somebody's yard. But there was a lot of sediment being kicked up, and I'm sure a lot of you know with the sediment, it's going to cause all kind of problem with your fish. It's going to either kill or run your bait fish away, which is going to be your foundation for feeding your bluegill and your bass and other fish. And along with that, with the development along the river, you've got all this fertilizer in the yards. They're pretty and green, but as that fertilizer gets washed into the rivers, you create areas where algae blooms, which is going to choke out the fish and the little fish and your brim, which is going to basically cause dead spots in certain areas. And when you get those dead spots, if nothing's done about it, we're just losing an opportunity of raising new fish. And along with the dead spots, you're looking, even if you were to replenish fish in the area, more bait fish, more brim or little feeder minnows, the dead spots is going to continue to either kill those or chase those away. Or even if you want to put crawfish in the area, the same thing. until we improve the water quality and maybe limit some of the construction, you know, it's almost like we just shooting ourselves in the foot to get a more productive river. I don't have all the answers. I only have some suggestions from my experiences and some of my friends' experiences. And I really like to have you guys to take a look and see what you can do to help us out. I'm available to retire. Anybody need help with anything, footwork, groundwork, I'm available to volunteer my time, as some of the other guys did. And so if I can help in any way, let me know.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you now.
Appreciate it. We have a couple of people that want to make a comment about the Leaf River Wildlife Management Area. First one is Phil Leecher. Lecter, excuse me. Nobody? Glad to see you, sir.
Glad to see you again.
Yes, sir. Glad to see you again. That has been.
Go ahead and pass it. Y'all can just, I want to give one to Russ. My name's Phil Lackner, resident of Biloxi, Mississippi. I have a place, camp in Leaf River Management Area, and also do all my hunting. Have been for the last 40 years. I was asked to a couple of comments here real quick. I'm gonna try to go through them. I'm a little bit green on the first one, which is youth squirrel season. I know all management areas has one. Ours is, I think, from September the 30th to September the 24th to the 30th, and I think that's the way they are anyway. But one of the problems, if it is a problem, and is in the Pascagoula River management area, wildlife management area. They have it like we do, okay, but they have another one. I think it's for special needs children. And what I was asked to do, and like I said, I'm a little green on this, and I should have got a little more detail on it, but this is what I read into it, is that they have another one, and it's in February. It's special needs. You have a lot of local squirrel hunters with the dogs. They go over there, they get with the agency, the Fish and Game, and they have the squirrel hunt. Problem is, it's the second week of February, right in that neighborhood, okay? And the big thing here is the river's normally up that time. Pascagoula River's up, it's flooded, so that limits their activity as far as squirrel hunting for these kids. And what we're asking is that if it could possibly be moved back to the September timeframe, you know, whether the week before or somewhere in that neighborhood. And then that way, I think would suit everything, because a lot of people still deer hunt down here in February. It's all the way to February 15th, deer season down here. So if y'all can take that under consideration. The next thing is any questions on that? I don't mean trying to go through.
No, go ahead.
Next thing is hunting hogs with dogs. Kind of a tongue twister. But my understanding is, here again, down here we have deer season all the way to February 15th. The 2 weeks after that is still rabbit season, squirrel season, bird hunting with dogs. And in the still hunting area of Leaf River, they opened it up to those dog hunters. Well, what's been happening here the last several years is, and don't get me wrong, the hogs need to be, the feral hogs is, just
They don't
abundant
do-
down here,
no
all over
good.
the state, right?
No good wherever they
Yeah,
are.
and it's gotten tremendously bad, and I can attest to it at my place there. But anyway, they coming in, the hog hunters with their dogs at that same time frame, which is messing up my understanding, squirrel hunters, the rabbit hunters, and bird hunters. So if we could maybe possibly keep them out of those last 2 weeks of February, the season's over there, then March or what have you, I guess they could go back in there. And it's not really a season, I understand, for hog hunters. We know it's a nuisance animal, and they need to be shot, killed, whatever. But we need just those 2 weeks to look at that. The next item is what I really need, and it's kind of associated with the handouts I just gave you. Is clarity or needed information for the check in and check out of harvested deer. Now, we know we're going to the app system. We went to the app system a couple of years ago. What's happening, and for instance, we had killed a deer in my camp last year. So when you go to the app, first of all, it's hard to get because we're
You have it
located
set.
up there. Yes, everybody knows that. But we're not sure that there's the weight on, if you kill a deer, you go to the app, and you open it up, and you say, okay, I killed a buck or killed a doe, And then does it ask for the weight? Does it ask for the antler sizes, the measurements, circumference, length of beams, you know, G2s of all, the whole shoot match. Also, if it's a doe, is milk present, okay? So I don't know if that's on there or not, and maybe I'm over us, maybe it's not, it's not. Okay, it needs to be, because that, what you have there in front of you, I passed out, we don't claim to be a game biologist. All we are is data collectors, and we've been doing it since, 2014 or whatever that is. And all the way up to, and it's on y'all's last page, but it's on mine, 2019, 2020, so you don't have any data. What happened at that time frame was, you know, we got the antler sizes increased in Leaf River only down here, management area. It went from 10 to 12, like the rest of the south, the coastal region is, to 12, 15, 12-inch inside spread, 50, like it is up in other parts. Because we said we want to do experimental, we got this, you know, we had petition, I was up at Ellsby way back when, and that all happened in the 2018-19 season when we went to that rule, okay? So that helped us there, and we wanted to see how we were progressing. And if you look at your last page there, and I think it's 2018, 2019, if you look over, you know, start looking at the 8 points and 9 points, it looks like we're heading in the right direction. So we wanted to keep that information for it. We don't, like I say, hold on, I got a computer geek that's in the camp with me. He's done all these spreadsheets. We gathered the information from the check-in station up there where everyone checks their deer in, pulls the jawbone and such as that. But here, lately, we hadn't been able to do that. The other thing is on the app, it should also state, because we had this problem the first year we went to that, everybody thought checking in, all you had to do was just hit the app. And, you know, you check in, you didn't have to go up to the headquarters and check it out if you killed a deer. You know, and we got it pretty much squared away, I believe now, but that first year, that's what people thought, for the lack of communications, whatever. Like I say, it should also say on that app, is if you're in a game management area, you should go check it in at headquarters if you kill something before you leave.
All right, so your time is.
I got one quick
Go
thing,
ahead,
and this
go
is
ahead.
very important.
Go ahead, Phil.
I hope it's about Ladon.
It is. We need to recognize our area management, Mr. Ladon Cooley. He's been up there the last couple of months, bush hogging, disking, fertilizing, throwing the seeds out, working with the National Forest, because you know, as y'all all know, Leaf River Management Area is not owned by the state, which is good and bad, but it's owned by the National Forestry Service. So he's been up there working with them guys with their pet peeves of bush hogging areas where they want to study gopher turtles again, this, that, and other. And I guess everybody says, well, it's no different from other area managers in the state. Well, there is one thing I see. The man is fighting cancer right now. He's taking chemotherapy.
On the tractor.
And he's on a track. He's got his kit. Now, believe it or not, we've come a long ways in my medical fields, I guess. Because the first thing I asked him when he sent me the video, he's got a port shunt. He's on the tractor giving himself a chemotherapy treatment. This was a couple of weeks ago. So I said, hey, you need to be careful. That don't look right. Your doctor approved of that? Yes, he does. But that goes to show you the dedication that this man has for his work and for working with the, you know, being the area manager. But not only us, it's for us, the hunters and everyone. He adores everybody that comes in that management area, tries to make it the best he can. So
He is an asset to our department. An absolute asset to our department.
Need some help.
Say again?
he does Pascagoula.
Oh, yeah.
He does Pascagoula, Little Biloxi, Ward Bio. You know, he goes around and helps all of them when he can. And he's been fighting this cancer now. Got 8 more weeks of chemotherapy. Hopefully that takes care of cures itself.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Phil.
sir.
Thank you,
Sorry
thank you.
for going over that.
What
And
about-
Eric Gomes is
Eric?
not here.
Yeah, Eric Gomes is not here, so that's
Okay.
He kind of took a little bit of Eric's time there.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, next is, Mr. Dupree with the, talk about the DeSoto National Forest. Yes, so there you are, good.
I typed it up that way to help manage time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for allowing me to speak. A little background first. I've been around wildlife and fisheries enforcement since I was a young boy. My uncle was a wildlife agent for over 40 years in Louisiana and was a colonel of enforcement for over 20 years. So I have an understanding and a compassion for what our agents here in Mississippi go through. I support the agency every year by purchasing a sportsman license. Even though I don't hunt or fish as much as I used to, I know the license fees are a critical part in the agency's funding to operate, and I'm glad to help. I live in an area that is surrounded by the DeSoto National Forest. It's a beautiful area. We love it. The only time we don't feel quite that way is come dog deer hunting season. So let me explain some of what goes on. We have dogs that come on our property, not just during hunting season, but throughout the year when they let them run. We have had dogs almost every day on my property for the past week. I had one today. So I can forget about bow hunting because, they chase the deer away. So we had a wildlife agent come to our house on a Christmas day because someone's dog was at my house. It wouldn't come to the owner. Not only did that affect our Christmas day, but it also affected the agent who may have been off, but had to leave to come into this matter. And I found out a while ago that that agent's here today. We have people parked on the side of the road just a few yards from the edge of our property with guns waiting for the deer. One of the main concerns is that a stray bullet could come our way and one of my grandchildren, or anyone for that matter, could be outside and struck. And that is not something you or I would want to happen to any of our family members. I've inquired to see if there was a minimum distance that dog hunters needed to be next to a private property. I found out that Mississippi doesn't really have any law pertaining to that. The National Forest does. It's 150 yards from property line, but all it says is you can't discharge a gun or a hunting bow within 150 yards. So they can park their vehicle right next to your property, and that's okay. The likelihood that an enforcement agent catching anyone shooting less than 150 yards is probably never going to happen. I could go on and on about issues. You probably have heard from other private landowners sharing their stories, but let me move on to possible solutions. Here are some things that could be considered. Lower the amount of days for dog deer season. I believe it's currently 39 days. That is during some of the best hunting days as a still hunter. When dogs are running, I don't even try to hunt because the dogs are chasing the deer away from my property. So I miss out on some of the best hunting days. Maybe it could be lowered to say 30 days or less. Keep in mind that according to a survey that less than 10% of the hunters in Mississippi are dog deer hunters. So let's say it's 15%. What about the 85% of the hunters who don't dog deer hunt? The dog hunters have over a month. And there's only about 3 months of total gun season in Mississippi, and dog deer hunters have over a third of that time. So they're just a small percentage of the hunters. So who will stand up for the majority of the hunters in Mississippi if you don't? Who will be their voice? Another thing that's already in place is a permit system in the DeSoto National Forest. There was a meeting last week with the U.S. National Forest leaders, and someone was there that lives next to the DeSoto National Forest, and they said the permit system has helped tremendously. They said it has made a great improvement for the landowners and the hunters. It was said that to do the same for the DeSoto National Forest, it has to come through Mississippi. And I'm understanding that's how DeSoto was set up. So this could be a win-win situation for the dog deer hunters and those that own land in and around the National Forest. Maybe you could work with the legislature or whoever would be needed to set this up. Another thing would be to prevent dog deer hunters from running their dogs when it's not deer dog season. If you are not aware, these dogs are chasing deer who are still pregnant or just birthed their offspring. These dogs are placing a strain and a stress to these deer, especially those that are maybe just a few days old at this time, and it shouldn't be permitted if we are really about conservation. That is why we have a hunting season, when we do, to allow the deer, rabbit, squirrels time to have their offspring and time for them to grow to be able to survive on their own. So should we really be running dogs during this time? In fact, the people at DeSoto said they have noticed an increase in the deer population since they came out with that permit system. So it's obviously improving the deer conservation. Let me state that I'm not against dog deer hunting. That is why I'm mentioning solutions that can work for both. I saw the survey where over 50% of the people in Mississippi are against dog hunting. If they knew of the stress on the deer because some of the people are running dogs when it's not dog deer season and maybe affecting the deer population, or that they may miscarriage, that number probably would go higher. So I asked, let's work on a solution that both benefit the dog deer hunter and the private landowner. Only 9 states allow dog deer hunting out of 155 national forests, 81% don't allow dog deer hunting. So obviously there's a reason for this. So let's come up with solutions in Mississippi so that doesn't happen here. I know you can only do so much as commissioners, but all I ask is that you do what you can to make it a win-win situation. I could share so much more, but I'm limited by time. Thank you again for allowing me to share this with you. Please do what you can to help the 85 to 90% of the still hunters, and so that way we can enjoy deer hunting as well and not have to deal with dogs on our property at this time. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you don't have any more time. That's good. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. George, your comment. You tell me, Senator,
Yes,
Senator
Mr. Chairman, Senator Seymour had signed in earlier to speak, and I forgot to add that to the agenda, so if you recognize him now.
I think I saw him come in. Senator Seymour, you'd like to say something?
I don't share the same sentiments as the man that just spoke, but let it be known that the National Forest in the state of Mississippi is equal to all. There will be no discrimination against one user group or another. And as far as the facts of days of use, there's only 39 days of dog hunting or deer when there's out of 128 days of hunting season. So I don't think that's a big disparity to you to be able to just hunt them days. The real issue, though, I'm here about is depreration, and this kind of gets to this issue also, depreration shooting. We're fixing to have a real main issue between agriculture of this state and wildlife as far as hunting. We've got people trying to grow crops to feed people of the United States, and yet, by whatever means, we have our own little areas that we're going to lease for hunting. We've got the nuisance hog issue, and then we have an overpopulation deer issue in these same areas. There's going to have to be some talk between the department and the ag to where we can somehow come up with some kind of amicable solution. You had a big-time farmer in North Mississippi. He got cited 41 times by an officer for not having a permit, trying to keep his potato crop growing, and the officers that took his rifle and all, the information that was on that scope had all been erased. So I would ask y'all to look into that matter. The other part I'm here to make y'all aware of, on the Pearl River, I don't know if this is a direct relation to the city of Jackson's water and sewer problems, but on the lower Pearl, we're starting to have an invasive species called an apple snail. It's prevalent to a high nutrient content of vegetation, most formerly found around sewer lagoons. I've had a biologist call me and tell me that he's alarmed that there is larvae on the cypress knees all throughout from I-10 up to Highway 90. He didn't fish no further north, so I don't know how far they have actually progressed. This species eats all vegetation. We're going to have a real, true erosion problem on the Pearl, and I would ask the department to have the biologist to look into that. I know there's no real corrective action other than physically taking them off because the EPA won't allow you to use heavy metals for their as a pesticide as far as eradication. Also, you have a supervisor here, Mr. Cochran, dealing with a boat ramp and all that will be furnished for most of George and Jackson County and Harrison County fishermen. I would ask that y'all help him. We appropriated $10 million on that 80-20 match at stewardship program. I know y'all have to apply just like any other entity for that grant money, but if y'all would see if y'all could help them out.
Where's the boat ramp?
George County.
And also, on the west side of the river, our community group. Actually, if I could say two more, I'm
got, like I say, goes into one of the main boat ramps for George County in that area, and also to the, you got the lakes, the upper, lower Rhine Lake, that goes between sandbars, and real popular place in George and Green County, and also Jackson County. That's one of the main things into the wildlife. I'm pitching, give it toward the legislature about trying to help you get that road big.
And myself and
I just like to have y'all.
Mr. Henry, myself, and Director Posey and Miss Amy, we had a good conversation about when we meet, Lynn. Last week. We had a conversation about it, and, you know, there's some challenges with the funding that we control, and I'm not putting it on my legislative buddies, but it is something that probably the legislature is gonna have to get involved with, so we can maybe have some type of cooperative agreement where we might be able to do some type of assistance down there. Because I think the goal, according to Amy and Russ, is to get the George County headquarters back, you know, I don't want to say full-time, but bring it back to where it can start being utilized. Is that pretty accurate, Russ? So,
Well, that's what we run, you know, share a little bit, you know, fixing for the legislature, showing where the wildlife and fisheries is, part of the road, and also, it's kind of road all the way down.
yeah.
The land purchase is 25-year celebration, will come down and put a big celebration. That's the single largest, I think, individual land purchase in the state of Mississippi. I would keep it, just want to enhance going into the wildlife and fish, make it better, supervise.
Thank you, sir.
The last thing is, as earlier speakers talked about being in DeSoto National Forest, I too live in the middle of this national forest. By y'all's own biology records a couple of years ago, it basically says the tail. Sparsely populated deer population in the national forest. Densely populated where there's habitat that can support them. In other words, around people's houses. It's gotten to the point in a lot of areas that these deer are so thick that I'm afraid we're going to start having a disease problem. And I would ask that the board maybe entertain a doe day once a year in this national forest area, because the local residents, you can't kill that many deer legally to get a hold on the population count. Either that or get the National Forest to plant something out there in the woods for them to eat. But it's gotten to the point to where it don't matter whether you're growing pecan trees or a garden, any type of agricultural use down here is prohibited basically because of the deer's turned into a nuisance, you know what I mean? That's all I have.
All right,
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Senator Seymour. Thank you. Okay, move on to the program. Jason, license sales. For y'all in this room that don't understand this, this is one of our most, this is how this agency is founded. It's funded by the people buying licenses. So this is why it's so important to us.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, our September report shows that the revenue is up close to 11% compared to last year, and the velvet deer season really gave us a bump this fiscal year. Resident license sales are up 3%, sportsmen's 2%, the 3-day freshwater fishing is up 4%, and WMA permits are up 4%, 528 more sold this year versus last year. Non-resident license sales are up 23%. Non-resident small game 16%. The all game license up 22%. The revenue sold, or the revenue from deer permits sold, is up $80,000, and of course that's due to the price increase on the deer permit for velvet deer. was $5 and it went to $50.
How many, I heard this number somewhere, but Russ may know, but how many, permits did we sell for that velvet hunt? Revenue's 3,700. That's not right.
3,700 permits.
3,700 permits.
Yeah, 37,000
Yeah.
in revenue.
Okay.
What about
For
the out of
resident.
state, Russ, do we know that yet?
Yes, sir. I have it.
You got
Yeah,
it?
so a total of 1,777 for $88,000.
That's for that one weekend of bow hunting to kill the velvet deer. And
Yes, sir.
how many? Less than 300, wasn't it?
282 reported.
282. Well, you know, some people didn't. We got outlaws. They ain't reporting them. Go ahead. Excuse me, Jason.
Oh, no problem. The permit category is up close to 6%, and lifetime licenses are up 9% compared to last year. Bottom of our summary report, WMA app downloads FY23, we're at 2,400, 1,744 iOS users, 656 Android users. We've had 6,489 to set up for auto renewal versus 11,071 last year.
Why is that down? You about got them all?
Yeah, so you're gonna have just, a few people each year,
Add no-
setting up for auto renewal. So the first couple of years were our two big years for setting up. Yes, sir. And the last thing, license packages, 6,630 sold this year compared to 5,487 last year.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Jason?
Okay, so the only way y'all are funded is by,
About 90%, I think.
so,
We get the state museum and the parks, they come through the legislature, but basically, this agency in reality is by license sales.
so in other words, when I got so old, I got that lifetime license, I'm helping y'all out none by not buying license every year, right?
No, you helped out a lot when you bought that lifetime license. That's what helped out. I'm old enough too, I don't have to, but I still get a license.
That's what I'm thinking, I like to start, because I remember my daddy saying, one time that, he didn't have to buy a license, but he did every year.
Yeah, once you get to be 65 in Mississippi, you're exempt from buying a license, but you still can.
Senior
And
center.
one of the keys to that is not only do we get your license dollars, we can take that license, your license dollars and triple it pretty much with federal dollars.
That's right. We get a matching from the feds with it, so that money, if you pay it, actually it's 3 times what you pay. Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
Russ, we hear the wildlife report from Russ Walsh, who's the chief of staff. Yes, sir.
I belong to a fly fishing club in Gulfport.
Yes, sir.
6 years, we give money away. We've been trying to give money to your park. Nobody knows how, nobody can tell us how.
You ever met?
We can
I
figure that
met.
out. We can figure that out.
Hey,
That's an easy fix.
let me tell you what he did before he came with us. He's a banker. He knows how to get money.
We try to give money away every year, and every year, we can't get it to y'all.
Well,
That's an easy fix.
we're gonna take care of it. Thank you. All right, Russ.
Mr. Harry, you can write me a check after the meeting and I'll make sure it gets where it needs to go.
Go ahead, Russ.
I wish somebody told me they've been trying to give me money. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a few things from the wildlife section today. One is going to be Rule 1.12, and the other is Rule 1.46. We brought these to you last month. These would establish a senior adult hunt on Mahana and Phil Bryant WMAs in January of 2023. Those have gone through the proposed phase, the 30-day comment period, and we've had no public comments. So we propose that you make those final day if you so choose.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any more comments? By the way, things do get done. We had some senior citizens come to us at 4 meetings ago, and this is what they wanted. And this agency got together and came up, so we're gonna have a senior citizens day instead of just handicap or youth. It's gonna be the older folks And I'm 100% for that since I'm one of them.
You said one day, it's gonna be 2 days.
Yeah, it's a 2-day
Yeah,
hunt.
2 days.
2 days. And Mr. Chairman, that was just kind of a start of testing ground with those two management
That's right.
areas.
Yeah.
You know, that could evolve from there, other management areas.
All right, now we've had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right, we got your,
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second thing on our agenda today is the 2022 State Waterfowl Stamp Fund request, and I'm going to yield my time to Houston Havens to bring that to you.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Russ. Houston? I saw he's here. There he is. Come on, Houston. Tell us what we're gonna give the money back. Got it in here somewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you, staff recommendations for our annual, state waterfowl stamp funding allocations. You see just some summary information there at the top of the sheet. What I'll do is just kind of touch on some high points in each of these forward headings, and if there are any questions, be glad to take those as well. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. The first two items there are related to waterfowl breeding habitat. Mississippi has had a strong tradition of being a proud state to be able to contribute some of our funds to take care of birds that are eventually going to end up here on the wintering grounds. But obviously we know that breeding habitat plays a very important role in that annual cycle, and so we've been annually contributing to Ducks Unlimited Canada and Delta Waterfowl for their breeding habitat programs there. So Ducks Unlimited Canada has had their conservation in southern Saskatchewan there, and you can see some of the acreage breakdown accomplishments that they've done. And what both of these groups do is similar to what we do with state dollars. They use money that's contributed from state agencies, and they're able to match that with other programs and other funds to increase the impact of those dollars on those programs. So Delta Waterfowl's similar conservation easement programs in Manitoba, another very strong area where Mississippi receives a lot of migratory waterfowl from. The next item is Mississippi State University, continuing with a waterfowl research project looking at wood duck nest boxes and their contribution to female wood duck recruitment. This is one state agency, or excuse me, one state university with several others in the southeast, across the southeast and up the Atlantic seaboard that are looking at this kind of as a collaborative project for wood duck research. The next item is kind of a breakdown of several wildlife management areas that had specific wetland management needs, and so we had some requests for specific items on those WMAs. So you'll see that breakdown there with each of those bullets. The next item is Private Land Wetland Infrastructure Assistance Program. It's what a lot of people know as our PIPES program. It's kind of evolved. Different NGOs, different organizations have kind of run the ball with this program over the years, and we've taken it on the past 4 years in Mississippi with duck stamp funds. And then looking for other organizations like Ducks Unlimited is working on a proposal right now to also match some of these dollars to go into this program. But essentially what this is trying to basically incentivize or increase the number of wetland acres in Mississippi on private lands. And we basically it's a competitive program where landowners apply for funding, and then we have a ranking criteria. So depending on the number of applications, the amount of funding that we have in the program, we're able to kind of put our priority on the projects that score the best. The next item there is aerial waterfowl surveys. I'm sure most of you are familiar with those. Very proud of that work that we've been able to do since the mid-2000s. We've got a really nice data set that we're building each year that we continue these surveys. And Mississippi State University is also taking that data and doing an analysis from all of that as well. But we put out reports each time we fly, November, December, early January, and late January. You know, if we get a delay with weather or getting in that plane for some reason, hunters know, that we're supposed to have a report out, and they call us pretty quickly on that. So it's a very popular program, and people really like to see those reports as they're coming out. Next item is it's kind of an as-needed item for waterfowl program travel. If items like wetland workshops come up that staff may be able to attend or may need to attend, we can sometimes put those requests together with some of these funds to be able to send people in for different trainings or meetings as they come up. Next item there is waterfowl trapping and banding supplies. Trapping and banding program that's been going on for a long time. Been very successful with that. This includes mourning doves and then primarily wood ducks. Things like replacing rocket nets and using or replacing different tools. Also, just getting new staff that are coming on equipped to be able to help out with that effort. So that's what those funds will go to. The next item is kind of a conglomeration of projects through the Mississippi Flyway Council. It's our annual dues to the Mississippi Flyway Council, and then a list of cooperative projects. And basically what those projects are for conservation, waterfowl conservation projects that are broken down either by each state in the flyway paying the same amount, or some of those are also broken down by the number of birds that it's focused on, the harvest from that different cohort of birds or that group of birds, and each state's allocation is broken down that way. But you can see those listed out there. And then finally, another project that we've been continuing, we're very, very proud of, had great success with, is our youth waterfowl hunting and education camp. So we're requesting funding to continue that program and work closely with Ducks Unlimited, of course, on that one as well. It's been a great success, get a lot of really good press from it, and we hear from a lot of people who participated over the years. Even run into some of those, down the road that are continuing to hunt on wildlife management areas, so pretty good success stories from those. That concludes the recommendations from the staff on the funding.
You got a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Is this, the private land program, how big was it when its largest time? How much funding was there?
Under the Fish and Wildlife Service, when it was really at its largest, just the wetlands portion, which is kind of what this is simulating, was a little over $100,000 some years. It fluctuated, but we were able to deliver. Basically, we were able to deliver all of the funding, even at its highest point during that time.
So this would be 40,000. You said DU will match 40,000.
Yes, sir. They're working on that right now.
So that might be 80.
Right.
Yeah. If you can get another 40, you might get up back to 120.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Been very successful, able to deliver anytime we've had funding in that program.
So that's one of the main challenges, to have enough water on the landscape.
Right.
Which just helps towards that.
That's right. When these are projects that are going to last for years, they're steel pipes. It's not just a one-time thing and having to go back on a property year after year. These are going to get multiple years out of these, and so hopefully, if those landowners are continuing to put their bores in and at least catch rainfall, then we're definitely adding acres of water every time we're doing the project.
Yeah, well, that's good. At least you're still doing it. Maybe we can add to it. How many bands per year in Mississippi do we do? You think?
How many bands?
I mean, like wood ducks or whatever. I know you're doing some.
Yes, sir. We were just under 400 on wood ducks and a little over 600 for doves this year. So that's generally about what we're shooting for each year.
And you work with Mississippi State or somebody on that, or y'all track those? How does that work?
So we actually get the band reports back. Scott Baker is our band permit holder, and he actually, I got an email from him a little while ago. I hadn't looked at it yet for this week. And typically during hunting seasons, Canada, of course, the Dakotas, you just came back from, they're hunting. And so we're starting to get band returns. We usually get an update weekly. A couple of weeks ago, we got a wood duck band return from Ontario, so a bird that was banded in Mississippi in 2018. A hunter harvested in Ontario. So it's always really interesting time of year to open that up and see what we're gonna have there.
You ever thought about banding mallards or stuff here going north?
We have some. It's a little bit different because the most valuable banding data that we get in waterfowl is preseason banding. So you want to mark a bird that you're pretty sure was raised or was starting at point A and then going into a hunting season. And so the mallards that we would have here, we'd be banding during the hunting season. And so as far as a point of origin, we wouldn't really have that information. But there's a lot of work going on with winter banding. Looking at what's the sample size that we would need to actually, have a meaningful data set, and so that may be some potential in the future to contribute to that.
what's the oldest duck? Somebody, I heard some crazy stories before. Some duck that was banded here and then somebody killed him 14 years later or
Yes,
something.
sir. I believe I'm correct in saying the oldest mallard band return that I know of was around 20 years, and Canada geese even go a lot longer than that, up close to 30 years. So some really old birds out there for
Hey,
sure.
there's some old birds flying around.
That's right.
Frequent flyers.
Frequent flyers, yeah. Anybody else got any questions for Houston? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion been made.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. We got, hey, Clipwood, glad to see you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Brian Ferguson. I like that where it says Chief of Staff. That's you. Glad to see you.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman.
State Parks.
Good afternoon, y'all. I won't nearly be as sharp as Houston, I don't think. It's amazing. I do want to pass out some information to you, though. This is an update kind of on our capital improvement projects. It's a good reading too, trying to take it with you. We'll go over some of it today.
Okay.
Kind of want to start off, I got a few topics I want to discuss, but I want to start off, you should have a summary report of state parks revenue in the binder. Ultimately, you should see the red at the bottom, the total gross revenue comparison from September of last year. What you'll notice here is about a $200,000 decrease in revenue. And it looks bad on the report, but it's actually really good news for us as a state park system because these can be attributed to some of the campsite improvements that are going on all around the state. One, you have about 100 campsites closed. One is about 75 at Buccaneer. They're replacing all those Gulfview sites. Hopefully have a substantial completion of those on this Friday. Also Tishomingo, also about 25 campsites there that have been closed for an extended period of time that should have substantial completion Friday. So we're hoping to get those back open here, completed Friday, and get them back open for the spring. Pretty beautiful sites. I think people in the state will really be proud to camp there. Every chance I get, I do like to also thank the legislators for their support this year in the last session for all the increased funding for state parks. It really has done a great deal to support some of the improvements that's happened in the state parks. And I'd like to also encourage them to to pull some of that back up this year in legislation and consider more. Kind of gets me to any questions on any of that so far. Kind of pushes me to the capital projects that's going on all around the state of Mississippi. As you know, we've talked about this in the past. We got 5 really core parks that we've been working on. Well, 6 actually, Buccaneer. We're also working on Percy Quinn, Natchez, Paul B, Roosevelt, and Clarko state parks. And those projects, we hoping, well, actually, we know November the 10th we'll have bid openings for both Percy Quinn and Natchez State Parks. Some of the work that's going to get done there is all the cabins at Natchez. A lot of the infrastructure projects are on the way down there, and Percy Quinn some of the same work. So we'll actually have a contract. We should have a contract around the end of November for that work to begin. Another project is the ones for Roosevelt and Clarko, hoping mid-November to start bidding that project. It's in design development stage with the architect, so we have all the information back to see what those improvements are going to be, and we're hoping to have an actual bid for those at the end of December, sometime at the beginning of January for that work also. And Clarko is the last one. We're hoping that one comes out of design development around February 2023, and the work starts on that one in October. But there's a lot of work going on in state parks because we still are we still have some work to do with some of the infrastructure there. So we got a lot of those ARPA dollars, federal dollars, to start working on some of the water systems, sewage. So all our wastewater projects at those same 5 projects should be getting started here in the next, the bids should be going out in the next month or so for those as well. So we're hoping to improve all the sewage, some of the water, and a lot of the RV pads. We're hoping to get close to over 300 RV sites improved around the state in the next within the next 12 months, 12 to 18 months. that's gonna be significant work done over the next year at state parks. I think one of the most important things that we've done though is gonna be our approach to marketing state parks. We recently met with Visit Mississippi on this week to discuss kind of using some of their ideas, some of what they're using statewide and international. They got a big international market as well, to get more tours in the state and to kind of share more of what state parks has to offer and actually share what the actual agency has to offer too. We still got to push shooting ranges and those things out front also, so that'll be part of our marketing efforts as well. Internally, we already created a Mississippi State Parks Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter, I believe also. So we're doing a lot of work internally to push that as well, starting to get followers on that page. So we'll continue to have the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks main page, but also have an individual page for state parks so we can highlight some of the things at state parks as well. One additional thing is kind of what we wanted to push this year also was kind of our shared services at State Park. We have fish, wildlife, and all the other services that we have. So what we did in November, a couple of weeks ago, not November, sorry, this month was what we call kind of a forced concentration, where we got a bunch of people, over nearly 100 people together at Roosevelt State Park for 1 week to do a lot of projects. So if you have some time, you want to go out there and see some good before and afters. There's a lot of work done there at Roosevelt State Parks. It's areas of that park that we didn't know was even capable of being used for outdoor recreation that has been exposed now. Trees being cut, places being burned. We're also working with the Forestry Commission to find areas where we can put in fire lanes. Also, our wildlife biologists also and our foresters here in the agency to identify places that we can improve the habitat there and also create more outdoor recreational spaces in all the state parks. USM Research Project, it's on this list as well. What they did for us this year started in March. They did a research project at state parks with the intent to create business plans for each state park in the state of Mississippi. So we have data collected back from them that shows how and what impacts state parks the most, what people in those communities really want to see happen in those state parks. And we'll meet tomorrow at Trent Lott Center to discuss kind of how we develop our first business plan for state parks. And we're going to focus on Paul B. Johnson first to create an actual business plan of how that state park will be ran for the next short-term and long-term future of state parks. So I'm really excited to see that come together. It's a lot of players involved in that, including Camp Shelby, Visit Hattiesburg, and a lot of the local areas. So it won't just be our agency working toward this. Every one of these state parks that we go to, we're engaging some of the stakeholders that's around in those communities to bring them on board and allow them to help us create what they want to see in those state park areas. One of the last things I want to talk about is kind of our park rules and kind of some of the park fees. We do want to bring some new park rules next month, but we also want to talk about kind of how we structure our fees. We'll have a lot of new amenities that we will have to add to our park fee structure, and some of those campsite improvements and some of those. Roosevelt will be a great example. There are 2 new cabins, 8 and 12 there. And I really hope y'all get to, we'll have a lot of pictures and things like that before and after, but we really need to go out there and just experience the difference in what those cabins look like when we get done with them. They're gonna be nice, really nice. So we hope to duplicate that throughout the park system. And hopefully in the next 12 to 18 months, you will see those same style cabinets, new furnishings and things like that at all 5 of those locations. And then we will try to expand it throughout the state as revenue increases in funds. So I know I started off with red numbers, but what I'm hoping happens is that from those improvements, what I believe will happen is that we'll have more amenities for people, and that number increase, that revenue number increase. We know the expenses will increase as well, but our intent is to put our fees and what we receive from state parks directly back into the park so that they can continue to grow.
How many cabins are at Clark Oak?
Barco, I don't know the exact number.
I don't know, we're gonna have a commission meeting over there, later on this spring.
It'll be a great place to stay. It'll be enough for you all. Beautiful park. Beautiful park.
Every year it wins the first place prize.
It's a beautiful park.
We're gonna go there.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a request with the proper time.
Go ahead.
Brian, you're now the end-all be-all with state parks, right? Is that correct?
It's a great team, but yes, you can
No, but I
call
mean,
me if you need something
yeah,
for state parks. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, what I would like to do is, first and foremost, commend y'all on what you're doing with the park system and trying to get it going in line. But remember one thing, and this does not go to everybody, but we provide our park managers, we provide some of our, maybe our WMAs, places to live. I don't know, I'm not sure about the WMAs. I know they used to do something like that, but I really would hope that you would communicate to your downstream team members that that's not their kingdoms. They are offered a sense of privacy in those state-owned houses that we provide, but it's not their kingdoms. Those parks in these WMAs, which I know that's not your area, but however, you are chief of staff, I guess. We need the people to realize that that's their parks. That's not a manager's park. That's not somebody who's living in one of our state-owned houses. They do have a right to privacy. But I went over and visited one personally myself because I kept hearing stuff, and I had a conversation with Lynn about this. I pulled up to the gate, lady, I thought I was being interrogated. I didn't tell her who I was specifically. Didn't want to tell her, that I work with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And, we can do a better job of how we treat our citizens that come to these parks, that fund them, that give the reports that we're hoping to get. So I hope y'all can pass that downstream, that it's not their kingdoms, it's the state of Mississippi's property, and the citizens and the taxpayers of the state of Mississippi own those parks. And that would be my request, that needs to take place, because I'm aware of another situation where somebody else went somewhere and they were made aware, and it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So please understand what I'm talking about. It's unacceptable for us as a department to allow our employees who work hard to think that that's their kingdoms, because it's not. It's the state of Mississippi, the citizens and the taxpayers of the state of Mississippi.
It's understood.
And that's firsthand, Mr. Chairman. That's not hearing something on the street.
I got
That's
you.
firsthand.
Well, we certainly think they would do that. Commissioner Rhodes, go ahead.
You was talking about the 300 RV pads. Are
sir.
they rehab pads? I know we built some new ones down here on the coast,
So,
but
yes,
are we
sir.
rehabbing any of the old?
That's what we're doing. We're not adding any new ones
Okay.
in. We're taking those and expanding them. So
The
bigger
modern
rigs.
day
Yes, sir.
campers and all will fit?
Bigger. They're adding decks to a lot of the premium sites on the lake views.
Yes.
And putting in, making sure they have 50 amps for
Yes.
All of them got 50 amp hookups.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay, good.
I had a question. It's interesting to hear about the business plans. So is there going to be a different plan for each park?
Yes, sir.
So trying to, and looking at what's the way to maximize each park and utility and the opportunities.
So what our plan is to do a kind of research, kind of data collection in a core of parks, and then take that data and kind of synthesize it into the individual locations and work specifically in those communities to create the individual plans for that state park. So Paul B will be the first one, that business plan will come out, and it'll be specifically for Paul B State Park.
Any more questions?
One more.
Go ahead.
We're at 300 in the next 12 months. Do we have a further plan to go through and catch them all up to the latest widths and stuff?
Yes, sir. So we did a phased-in approach. So we had our phase 1 was these 5 parks. Phase 2 we were working on as what we did was we got a capital expense fund from the legislators in 2021. One of the years I get them mixed up, but we matched that fund with our land and water grants from the federal side and did a 50-50 match.
Good.
So that took care of the phase 1. Phase 2 is we took the same approach, got half from legislature, half from the feds, for phase 2, and I think they're meeting today to talk about phase 3. So all 3 of those phases are 3 different parts of the state.
I know Roosevelt, I personally stepped out of the camper and rode all the way down the hill almost to the lake.
So
But,
we're hoping to get rid of that.
yeah, you know, there's a difference from the
We were
slab.
thinking about you when we did this,
Yeah.
these new ones.
Thank
But-
you.
All right, y'all.
All right, thank you, Brian. Where's Brother Brown, fishery man?
Will be pretty brief. Under tab 7, there is, on the second page, is going to be a letter that's addressed to the commissioners. On the first page, I've just got some bullet points kind of highlighting this request. This is from the Copiah County Baptist Association, and it's a letter to you guys requesting permission to waive some licenses for the Wounded Warriors Bass Tournament that they plan to have at Calling Panther Lake and at Lake Lincoln. This will be October the 28th through the 29th. They'll fish Calling Panther one day and Lake Lincoln State Park the next day. Mr. Bench, you got a question?
No, I'm fixing to make a motion to approve it.
You make it, and I'll go sit back down and make this real quick.
I have a motion.
But in addition, before we do, in addition to waiving the license fees, because most of them are from out of state, we would like to also request that we waive the lake user permit that they would pay to fish at a state lake or a state park lake. This is something we've done in the past. They haven't had these since, before,
Y'all let that pay
COVID,
anyway.
basically.
Y'all let that
So
pay
that's
anyway.
our recommendation.
Motion. We need to
Second.
do everything we can to help.
Yeah. A motion's been made and seconded for the request. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It approved.
Thank you very much.
It was very easy for you, Brother Brown. See Jerry Carter. Is he here? Oh, go, well, I see Scotty Jones.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
Colonel Carter's out after they spent some quality time with his son. He sends his best. First of all, I just want to recognize a lot of people in here. This is one of 3 of our public shooting ranges. This is open to the public Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think Thursday from 12 to 5, Friday 12 to 5, Saturdays 10 to 5, and Sundays are 1 to 5. So if you got time, ride around, look at it. We got 3 really good shooting ranges in the state. I'll put them up in any state in the southeast. So these were created for you to have opportunity to participate in this. Also want to recognize Chad Touchton, IHIU Colby, for hosting us today here at this facility. Y'all doing an outstanding job. And at that, I'll get on to the report. For the month of September, there were a total of 549 citations issued. No license, as always, leaves away with 97. Unlawful possession, 54. Unplugged gun, 52. Hunting doves, overbait, 48. No duck stamp, 38. This is picking up.
Field season.
Teal something, say, I
Yes, sir.
go by Doug.
If you look over to the next page, our cadets are graduating November 1st at 10 a.m. at Roosevelt State Park. We'd like to extend that invitation to you, Mr. Chairman of the Commission, and anybody, representatives would like to participate in that. We're looking forward to it. They've been through 12 weeks with us. We're ready to get them out, boots on the ground with their FUOs and start business there. We are going to start advertising for the next class starting next month. So if there's anybody in this room that knows somebody wants to be a conservation officer, make them aware of that. Hoping to start that class in April. On the next page, something is near and dear to the shooting range program is the MSSP program. There's over 1,000 kids that participate in the shooting sports program. It's a program that we utilize to get kids into outdoors, into the shooting sports, and these ranges do so. The first fall qualifier will start here November 1st through the 5th, and the next date will be November 29th through December 3rd. So this will be the opportunity, first time these kids get to shoot on this new course here. MacGyver will also host a fall qualifier November 8th through the 12th and December 6th through the 10th. Shooting ranges are picking up. Closer hunt season, we're getting the numbers picking up. MacGyver, 804 customers for last month. Turcotte, 910 customers, and McHenry, 681 customers. At this time, I have 4 license reinstatements, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to recognize those guys. First, I got Jamie Brasfield. Jamie? Mr. Brasfield was convicted of headlighting in January of 2021. He's here to tell his side of the story.
All we want you to do is just kind of start from the time you did what you did till you got the cuffs put on you, or whatever.
Well, basically, me and one of my buddies was in the backyard, and he had been having some big deer on camera come out at nighttime, and he had said something about wanting to shoot one of them, and it was later on in the evening, it wasn't long after dark, and he had turned the flashlight on, just asked me to hold the flashlight for him, I aimed the flashlight towards the deer, and he shot at it. He never did kill the deer or anything, he just shot at it and missed. A few months later, game warden come pull up his yard, it's game warden Brady Reynolds, I think his name is, down in Bruce, Mississippi. And he just asked us what happened, and we told him the truth, and my buddy got his gun to it, the flashlight got to it, we went to court, we paid our ticket fee, and missed a year of deer hunting, and kinda hurt me to miss that year, and I wanna go back.
That pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Now, how much did it cost you?
$2,250 then, and $250 today, so $2,500 total.
Now, they didn't take your gun, but they took actually your buddy shot the gun.
Yes, sir.
So he lost his gun.
Yes, he lost his gun, lost the flashlight too.
Now, you understand how dangerous it is shooting at night. That's what basically that's what it's all about. And we got jillion of deer, you can see them in the daytime.
Yes, sir.
I hope you learned your lesson. Anybody else wanna ask him any questions?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Cookwood? We must have lost Cookwood somewhere.
I'm right here. I said aye.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so motion carries. Hey, we don't wanna see you anymore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, I got Johnny Williamson.
It's gonna be the same story. Ypres County.
Johnny was convicted of headlighting on January 26, 2021. I'll let him tell this side of the story.
What county?
It'll be in Kemper County.
Go ahead.
Me and my buddy was headed home. We had just got done hunting. And there was a field right there, probably 2 miles from my house. A little after 8 o'clock. Seen a deer out there. We stopped. I held the light. He shot. Didn't hit the deer, but we got neighbors right there to the field. Got the tag number. Called law enforcement. And they showed up at my house. Asked me what happened. I explained to them. And they took the spotlight and my buddy's gun.
It's almost like the identical same thing that we just heard.
Yeah, same story.
What did you see when you hunting in the daytime? Didn't see any deer? Now, there's deer I've hunted Kemper County. There's deer everywhere.
I just didn't see one.
It come out at night. How do you guys know you didn't hit the deer? It's real hard. It's hard to find them at night, too. Didn't find blood, anything, huh? How long was the shot?
Oh, y'all need to go to shooting range.
Oh, I wasn't going to shoot.
All right, Johnny, how much money did it cost you?
Paid $2,400 and then $500
Almost $3,000. I mean, you had to learn I mean, not for the money, but just, how long have you been without your hunting license?
Since that happened in October of
2020?
My point in asking that question is that you guys think you didn't hit the deer, you probably did. He probably ran off, or you just never know. 40 yards, you're not gonna miss a deer. Your buddy, you're holding the line.
What about your buddy? I'm sure he lost his license too.
Yes, sir, he got his reinstated last month.
I think I remember, yeah, I think I remember him. Good.
I have a motion.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Benz.
Approve the reinstate.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
You've been reinstated.
We appreciate you coming in.
Scotty, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Why is the reinstatement on one more than it is on other?
Checking on that, I think it's.
Age.
Oh, okay.
Under.
Okay.
Age.
The older you are, you charge more because you should know better?
I'm gonna bring both of these guys up at the same time, they were together.
I didn't know what.
This offense took place in Nola County. I think, they were convicted in 2021, but it actually happened in November 2020.
Right.
And I'm gonna let them tell their side of the story.
All right, sir. Well, let me ask y'all one thing. We had our commission meeting last month at McIver. That's in your back door. Why in the hell did you come all the way down here?
Didn't get on it on time.
Oh, you didn't get it all in? Okay, well, I noticed y'all were from Polk and Batesville.
I didn't get on it until about a week after that.
Okay, 'cause you came a long way, and I know,
Oh, it was about
but we had
5
it,
hour trip.
we had it in your backyard
Yeah.
before, okay.
That's what she told me when I called, and I just.
Okay. All right, go, all right, tell us what happened.
Me and him left the house one night, just going to ride around. Riding back roads, a couple deer come out the road, we shot at one, missed. Made a small loop, turn around, come back down the same exact road, past the game warden. He pulled us over at the end of the road. And he got his tickets that night, they came to my house 3 days later and gave me mine.
Basically, somebody had to have heard you shooting on their property or
Right,
something.
right,
That's what we get them, the landowners call in.
Right.
And of course, all of our law enforcement officers, they know the area better than anybody.
Right.
So that's how you get.
Y'all
the call.
honest with the officers when they
He did most of the talking the whole night. I was in the vehicle.
So he was the snitch.
I was in the vehicle.
Well, did you get your guns taken from you? How much money did it cost you?
I think like 3,000.
Same thing?
2,500.
Let's hear from you since you're the talker.
Basically, he told us about, he pulled us over and told me to get out, told him to stay in there. Told him what happened. I tried to lie, I ain't gonna lie about that. I never real quick.
Then you came clean?
Yes.
Well, let me just ask you one question, and I've been your age too, a long time ago. But you went out there to start with to kill a deer at night. That's what your intent. You wasn't just riding around. You riding around to kill a deer.
Right.
And you got caught. And it cost you a lot of money. And I hope you learned your lesson.
I was, then I was 16, didn't have much of a job, and my parents put it all on me. It was tough.
Good for them.
It was tough.
We had a guy that came before us that actually quit his job and went to work for the county for 3 months, worked for the county, picking up garbage and that kind of stuff to pay the county his fine. So people want their hunting license back. I mean, I know y'all do. But don't put your gun up at night. You don't need we ain't night hunters. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You can't afford to do it.
No.
Okay.
Motion at the appropriate time?
You are recognized, Chairman Bench, Mr. Bench, excuse me, Commissioner
Definitely
Bench.
wanna be chairman.
Commissioner Bench.
Motion to approve, both of them, reinstate.
Is there a second?
So,
There's a motion made and second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? All right, sir. We don't want to see y'all again.
Mr. Chairman, I got an attaboy for law enforcement at the appropriate time.
Go ahead. We always look for attaboys.
I don't know, y'all probably do, I'm new to this game, but I went to the Mississippi State Fair last week. My son's an ag theft agent, and he has to work it as well. And we were requested to bring our special operations unit there, the SRT team, and they brought this, I don't want to put anything on the street, and I'm not, they had some phenomenal equipment that, is like state of the art. And I asked Colonel, I ran into Colonel when I was there, if maybe when we're in our Jackson office, that they can, the rest of it, if they hadn't already seen it, they might have seen it. We'd like to, I'd love for them to see what the Mississippi Department of Wildlife Fisheries Parks does. It's not going around just checking squirrel hunters and deer hunters and getting on the boat. I mean, we are called to support a lot of, and I know y'all all get the emails that I get, but that was a class act operation y'all had, and I know how much the chief of the Ag Theft Bureau and the Capitol Police appreciate the law enforcement division with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife Fisheries. First class, top notch, and we should all be very proud. And I know we all are, but I think it, I want you to know, Scotty, how much I appreciate it, because it was, I mean, I'm kind of selfish. They were out there supporting my son and other law enforcement agencies, but it was, they're top notch.
Well, we thank you for recognizing that, and I definitely will pass the word on to the guys.
And it's not just the law enforcement, your IT guys are, I mean, they are like, they're part of that team.
It's a team effort, and they do some really good stuff.
Anyway, I know our other commissioner, being new, I wanted to bring that up.
Well, you're absolutely
It'd be
correct.
great to see all that. And thanks for keeping us safe, fair safe, so.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Scott. They kept the fair safe, they said,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but they do, and I'm gonna tell you, in the little community that I'm from, our wildlife officers are they're well received. I mean, that's, first thing, anything happens, the sheriff calls, who they call? Call the wildlife officer. That's the first people they call. Any other business, Mr. Posey?
Not this time,
Mr. Dupree, these two gentlemen over here with the legal team with the department, if you want to talk to them about what the laws are, but they're a lot better than we are at knowing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for doing this, or you might be already fixing to do it, but I want to recognize, of course, Mr. Henry Cochran, supervisor from George County, Mr. Dale Bond, retired supervisor from Stone County, Doug McLeod, our esteemed representative from
Saw him at the dedication last week.
from like 4 different counties. He claims to live in each one of them most of the time when I talk to him. Of course, we saw Senator Seymour, former supervisor, Mr. C.T. Switzer, who is now on the Board of Trustees at Gulf Coast Community College. And I'm going to take a point of privilege and introduce my dad back there, who's also on the Community College Board right back there. So he's Leonard Senior. So.
Well, we're glad that,
Who did I miss?
One quick thing.
Well,
You're exactly right. Big shout out to your Fish and Game. We got all the reports back from the 2 weeks of the fair. Everybody felt safe. We had one radio go off. 3 guys walk in the bathroom. All of a sudden, there's 5 law enforcement guys, Fish and Game, DPS, and all the rest of them. So there was a great turnout. Andy Gibson, he's been just so happy that everything went so well, people are so safe. And the other day, Commissioner, we enjoyed a lot of great things at the Winter Creek celebration. And y'all done, all the cooking team, I don't know if they all, but done a great job. We thoroughly enjoyed it, first class.
Doug, did I miss anybody else elected official wise?
Seymour, everybody knows.
Yeah.
I recognize Seymour. All right, thank you, Commissioner Benson. We appreciate that. Everybody's welcome, and we're glad y'all came here. Now, what about, no more business, Mr. Posey?
No more business today.
We don't need an executive session?
Do not need executive session
All
today.
right. The next meeting is scheduled for November the 17th at 9 a.m. Is that for the educational meeting at 9 and the commission meeting at 10?
Commission meeting.
Okay. All right. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion that's always in order to adjourn. Motion's been made to adjourn. We adjourn. Thank you, Goodwood.